Right, hey everyone and welcome back to Kids Comics. In anticipation for the upcoming Spider-Man No Way Home, I've continued to be rewatching the old Spider-Man films, and this week I've watched The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, starring Andrew Garfield and directed by Mark Webb. So in this video I'm just going to talk about them for a bit. So I'm hoping this video should be quite quick, quite a short one. I'll start with Amazing Spider-Man 1, and basically this was released in 2012, I believe, so good 5 years after Spider-Man 3. Yeah, good 5 years after Spider-Man 3. So, yeah, we're kind of, at this point, people have sort of, hopped off the Spider-Man bandwagon. One thing I really enjoyed about this film was that it doesn't really retread old ground that the Tobey Maguire film did. You've got new characters like Gwen Stacy, who was introduced in Spider-Man 3, but not as a love interest really for Peter Parker. So I really enjoyed that they went down that route and had Gwen Stacy as the main love interest. I also really enjoyed that they had a new villain in The Lizard. It was something we hadn't really seen in the Tobey Maguire film. This kind of felt like it could be sort of like a follow-on to those films almost. You have, like I say, Gwen Stacy following on from Spider-Man 3, and The Lizard, Kirk Connors, who has been throughout the Sam Raimi trilogy, now becoming the Lizard in this film. So it's characters that people have been introduced to in one way or another, but in a new sort of way. I really enjoyed this film, but not as much as the Tobey Maguire films. And it's strange because, so I haven't watched these films for, I don't know, a good 5 years, and I remember really liking both of them, and looking back they're not particularly great. Like, they're okay. Andrew Garfield's really good in them, like he's a good Spider-Man. But that's really all I have to say. Andrew Garfield is a good Spider-Man in a bad Spider-Man film. So plot. I mean, you probably all know that like the Lizard is trying to infect the entire New York City to turn them into lizards. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is being hunted by Gwen Stacy's dad, the chief of police, or the captain. And yeah, I don't know, there's good parts in this, like some of the web swinging's really good, the school fight scene's really good, the fight in the sewers is really good also. The bit where he's kind of swinging around in the warehouse, getting his powers, like learning how to use them, I enjoyed that. But for the most part, this is just it's a sad film because, so Uncle Ben, we get shown Uncle Ben dying once again. He doesn't even get the "with great power comes great responsibility" bit. It just says something like, with an enormous amount of power you have a responsibility to do some good, or something like that. Like, it's not memorable.
He believed that if you could do good things for other people, you had a moral obligation to do those things. That's what's at stake here. Not choice, responsibility.
Then he goes after the guy and doesn't even catch the guy who did it. Like, that's one thing I'd completely forgotten about this film. He doesn't even catch the guy that did it. And then obviously, like, you have him and his relationship with Aunt May is fraying. Like, you never really see them have a good relationship with each other. Like, they have a relationship, a good relationship, but in this it's more sort of like they're back and forth at each other, like, oh, where are my eggs, and like, why are you so late in, and it just felt sad watching it. Like, it felt sad. There didn't really seem like there was much hope, I guess, for this universe, if that makes sense. I don't know if that's maybe just because of the campiness of the original Spider-Man trilogy and about how this was sort of more grounded, more down-to-earth version of the character. So maybe that's why I'm thinking of that. Anyway, I don't know. One last thing I enjoyed about this film was that we are sort of given an explanation as to how Peter's parents died. In the first one, it's not really mentioned at all, and in this one, we go down the route that has been introduced many times. I probably first read it in Chip Zdarsky's Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, about how Peter Parker's parents might have been secret agents or worked for the FBI or the CIA or something along those lines. So yeah, that was a welcome inclusion. I really enjoyed that. Then on to Spider-Man 2. And this was a film that I remember being awful, and I remember it being much worse than Spider-Man 1. But I have to say, they're probably both on par. They're probably both on par with Spider-Man 3 for me in the Tobey Maguire trilogy. Yeah, they're probably both about as good as Spider-Man 3 because they're sad films and they're not really great films, I guess. I don't know. I enjoyed watching them and I enjoyed rewatching Spider-Man 2 because there are some good parts in it. But for the most part, like I said with Spider-Man 1, with this one, Amazing Spider-Man 1, it's just a sad film. But yeah, so in this one, obviously, the big thing that happens is Gwen dies. And when that happened in this film, I really felt like Peter Parker, this version of Peter Parker, this Spider-Man, could not catch a break. And he also couldn't catch Gwen. But they could not catch a break at all. And it's just like one thing after another after another after another for him. It's just like, how can you take that much and still going on? But I guess that's the moral of this. The moral of this film is that you have to become the icon of hope for people to believe in, and that's what Gwen says in her speech.
You must promise me that you will hold on to hope. Keep it alive. We have to be greater than what we suffer. My wish for you is to become hope. People need that.
Some of the things I enjoyed about this film, I really enjoyed the web swinging. I really liked the web swinging, how it starts off, that opening web swinging shot I liked. I did quite like some of the fights with Electro. It's interesting, and like I say again, with the Lizard in the Amazing Spider-Man 1, Electro and the Rhino, two characters we've never seen in live action before, so I'm glad they didn't rehash a character. Although you do get Green Goblin in this film, you have Dean DeHaan playing Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin. That was something I honestly felt like could have been completely taken out of this film. Doesn't need it. Yeah, don't really need it at all. There's just so many villains already in this. You have the Rhino, you have Electro, you have Green Goblin, and in the first one you only had Lizard, so you only really needed Electro and bits of Rhino, I felt, in this. And also his basement that's just full of like origin stories, so like you have Doc Ock's arms, you have, I don't know, Vulture's wings, you have the Rhino's suit in there. It's just like, it felt cheap. But yeah, Jamie Foxx as Electro, I don't know, I enjoyed him, I guess, when he was Electro. I didn't really like Max Dillon, is it Max Dillon? I want to say that's something like that is his name. I can't remember. I think something like that. But I didn't really enjoy that version of the character. So I'm hoping in Spider-Man No Way Home that that version of the character is a bit different and hopefully a bit better. I'm sure it will be. But yeah, like I said, for both of these films, Andrew Garfield's version of Spider-Man, really enjoyed. I felt like the quips and stuff that he was doing were great. Like, I liked that. I felt like that version of Spider-Man where he's like quipping is good, but then also when there's so much like sadness and stuff going on around him, like Uncle Ben dies, Gwen dies, Captain Stacy dies, he doesn't even fight, he doesn't even catch the robber, the mugger who murdered Uncle Ben. You know, when it felt like there was a new sort of sense to it that he's doing all these quips to mask how sad he probably is. And that's sad in itself. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it, and I guess the rewatchability for me of these isn't particularly high. I don't feel like I could sit down and rewatch them. I haven't watched them before tonight for a good 5 years. But no, I enjoyed them. I just wish they'd made a third one, because this second one, it sets up so much. And when Gwen dies, and then Spider-Man takes like 5 months off, and then comes back and fights the Rhino, I just wish we'd either have seen the Rhino fight scene, or we would have got a Spider-Man 3, and it would have paid off a bit. All this sadness that he'd have gone through, everything he'd have gone through would have paid off just a little bit in Spider-Man 3, in The Amazing Spider-Man 3. But hopefully rumours around Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being in No Way Home are true, and we can get a little bit of closure for that character in Spider-Man No Way Home. This has just been a brief ramble about my thoughts and feelings after watching The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, good 5 years after I first watched them. I mean, probably longer than that. The second one came out in 2014, I think. And yeah, I don't think I've really watched it since it came out. So yeah, this has been my thoughts and sort of like a retrospective view of that. It's been a lot more of a chatty ramble than the last one was really, just because I've kind of gone into a bit more depth about emotion and stuff like that. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video for whatever reason. If you're still watching, thank you so much for watching. Please comment down below, like the video, subscribe, share it with your friends, all that good stuff, and I will see you all later. See you guys, bye.